Y'all know what it is.
No, we were making it up as we went along. I learned from reading the HTML 1.0 spec.
Wow.
Since I worked at Kinko's, I printed it out and bound it and put a nice little cover on it that I made in Kai's Power Tools, if you remember that. Because we were working in Photoshop 2.0 back in the day, before there were even layers. And I read that backwards to forwards and front and sideways and would go on bulletin boards and learned how to write Perl scripts, learned Unix shell and things like that. And we were making it up. You know, that was the wild, wild west. And it was just a ton of fun back in the day.
Can you talk about, I mean, you come into LA and you're all of a sudden working for clients like Stone Temple Pilots, A&M Records, Star Trek, all these huge clients. Can you talk about like the protocol working on a website like that in the early days? I mean, there's no like Slack. They didn't have GitHub. How did you manage code? What was like... what was that all? I mean, how was that?
Did you become the developer by virtue of the fact that you were the only guy that knew how to run the computer?
Well, I mean, there were a couple of us, you know, like early days guys, like Brian Schulmeister, my co-host on Grumpy Old Geeks. You know, we met at my first legit dev shop. That was Box Top Interactive. And that's where I did Stone Temple Pilots with Brian. And we worked on Barbie, believe it or not. And, just some crazy stuff. But the protocol was we would sit there in the same room and just share code and look over each other's shoulders. And it was all FTP. You know, there was no source code control. There was no repositories back then. It was just, you know, okay, we all got a folder. It's on the shared drive. Let's upload. And you just sit there and upload it and wait. You know, that was kind of it. And one person kind of owned the project. So the one developer on each project really kind of did it. And I mean, this is back in the days when design was tables, you know, to get anything to line up, there was tables. So everybody would be like yelling at everybody else. It's like, how the hell do I get this damn thing to line up, you know? And so we were just, like I said, we were making it up as we went along. And it was just, it was an interesting time because there was no precedent. There were no books, you know. I think the first book that I actually bought was Learn Perl in 31 Days. I only got to day 27, but I read that. I had that book on my desk for probably 7 years. And it
just
was
a reference
that book,
to go to.
Yeah, that book was it, man. That was what got me through most of it before PHP came out. And then once PHP came out, then I just switched to that. And it was all, you know, lamp stack all the way down for the rest of my career. But I never want to see a Perl script or a regex again. Trust me. That's bad news.